When you work extensively with Excel, you might end up with an enormous collection of sheets way at the bottom. So then it may be hard to get to the right sheet easily. I know Excel has some features to solve that. You can right click there and you get a list of your sheets. It is not an alphabetical list. So how can we tackle that? The answer is with VBA. I'm deleting this one, for that does not belong to that sheet. So what did I do? I created a specific VBA code with a shortcut Ctrl-Shift-S. And when I do that shortcut, it gives me a list of all the sheets, but in an alphabetical order, which makes quite a difference. So I can go to any sheet I want to go to. I can even add new sheets by clicking on the Insert sheet. So that is one solution for your problem. Another solution is to sort them permanently and put them in a different order. But that does not always work because the alphabetical order is not always the order of importance or whatever. But I will show you both ways. Let's go to Visual Basic, Alt F11, and we create a user form. Insert user form, and you put on that user form a list box, that is this button, and a command button. Okay, and the command button is there. So and if you lose that thing, you can just click on the toolbox button and it's back there. Okay, now we are going to the code behind that thing. You do that by selecting here either View Code or View the Object. View Code. And we start with a user form and then an event, in this case the activate event. And in the user form activate event we declare two variables, and then we give the caption to me is the user form, equals list of spreadsheets. Command button 1, I didn't rename that command button, dot caption, insert a new sheet, and then we are going to add an item to that list box. I kept the name listbox 1, but you can rename it. Click on the sheet name. Then we are going to store all the sheet names in an array. We declared an array here with open closing parentheses. That means it's going to be an array of the string type. We redim the array to how many elements? The number of sheets count -1. Why -1? Because arrays start at 0 and not at 1 like most things in Excel. Why did I use sheets and not worksheets? Because worksheets does not include chart sheets. So sheets is a more comprehensive one. Then we loop through all the sheets for I equals 0, remember we start at 0, to the sheets.count -1, and we store in array I, which is first in the 0th element, from all the sheets, the one that is I plus 1, because there is no sheet 0 in Excel, dot name, next I, and then we sort the array. I will show you how that subroutine was made. It is handmade. Sort the array of AR. We do that in a module, which I will show later. And then we are going to add all those names to the listbox 1. We do that by looping from 0 to the last index number of array, which can be found with ubound. And we add item of the array I, 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. Then the list box populates. Once someone clicks on the list box, so how do we get that code in there? We go to the list box option here, like we did before with user form, list box 1, and make sure you get the click event and not another one. When someone clicks on that box, Then we check that they didn't click on the first item, which is click on the sheet name, for that doesn't make any sense. There is no sheet with that name. So if the list index of the list box happens to be 0, the first element, then exit the sub. Otherwise we are going to select from all the sheets the one that has the name you had clicked on. And then we finally had added a command button. We insert a sheet. Again, that is a subroutine we will cover in the module. And the insert sheet has an argument. Which sheet do you want? Which name? We use an input box. We ask what is the sheet name, and it will store that into insert a sheet. We empty the list box from previous settings. And then we run the user form activate event. That is this one. So it is going to add all the elements again. So that is what the user form does. So now we need to create subs in the module. So we have to add a module to this VBA code. Insert a module. I did that already. I called it module 1. And we created, as I said, 2 subs that we used in the form. Insert a sheet. We pass on the information which name through a string. We declare a variable of the worksheet type. We loop through all the worksheets in the collection of worksheets. And then we say if the base version of S name, which is the one we had passed on through that insert sheet, if that name exists already, if we find that in one of the sheets, then take S name again and add the number 1. This is not the best situation, but let's keep it for now. Then we add a new worksheet to the collection of worksheets. And we add it not before anything, but after the active sheet. I prefer that instead of putting it before the active sheet. And we give it that name that is either with a 1 or not. Then we create a sort array routine. It uses the array as a variant, and we declare a few variables. We loop through the lowest index of the array to the highest index of the array, but -1, because we are going to compare it with the last one in the last step. We do another loop inside the I loop, the J loop, I plus 1, to the last element of the array. If the lowercase version of array I, that's the first time 0, is greater than the lowercase of array J, which is 1, 0 plus 1 is 1, then store the first one in a temp variable, store the second array in the second element in the array to the previous one, and the next one fill it with as temp. So we are swapping the 2 elements in the array, and we keep doing that, and that's what the sort array subroutine does. And as I said already, we call it in the user form. Going back to the user form, to the code. Here we called sort array. It needs 1 argument, which is the array we are sorting. And then we use later on insert sheet. And insert sheet has also an argument that says what is the name. And we fill that through an input box. Back to module 1. If you want to activate the user form, you need another sub. I called that subroutine a sheets list. We call user form 2. Mine happens to be user form 2 because I deleted user form 1 in a previous session. Show it, but show it VB modeless. That means that form can stay there while you are working on a sheet. If you do VB model, you have to close the user form before you can do anything on a sheet. In case you want to sort the sheets permanently, I called that one sub Alphabetize and I gave it a shortcut key. We declare variables, and now the system is very similar to what we did before. We loop for I to the sheets count -1 because we want to compare the next to last one with the last one. We store the first element sheet in S lowest. We loop in a second loop through I +1 to the sheets count at the end. If sheets I name is less than S lowest, then make S lowest the sheets J name. And then we finally move the sheet with that lowest name to the current position. So let's test it. I'm going to use for now Ctrl-Shift-S to show that it works. If I want the departments sheet, you will get that. Okay. I can add a new sheet. Let's call it capital A, capital A. Now my list got expanded, and I can still go to all the other ones and everything is alphabetical. The last one, it's going to sort all of this automatically. With Ctrl-Shift-A, that is how I assigned it. Ctrl-Shift-A. And it sorted everything alphabetically. So now if I use the trick that Microsoft Excel provides, I get an alphabetical list, of course, but the price you pay is that you have to have everything now in an alphabetical order. This is what VBA can do for you. I know this was a very short introduction to VBA. You need to know much more, so I made for you a VBA CD-ROM for 2013, but you can also use it in 2007 or 2010. It does all of this and it makes you a professional, as it did for thousands of other Excel users. You find it at genesispc.com.